Hey everyone, welcome to the 2014 North American Challenger Series, brought to you thanks in part to our friends at Coca-Cola. I'm David Freak Turley. Alongside me is Aiden Zyrene Moon. How's it going?
It's going pretty well, Freak. Great day of the LCS. Seeing a lot of people close at the top there. Super excited. A ton of teams that can represent NA.
Top 5, one game apart. That is more European than soccer or football, as you know they would mostly say.
Got a lot of European players over here now.
It's true.
So that's what you get when you bring them over here.
Thanks, Bjergsen, for doing that to us. Today, now the 3rd seed Team Coast from North America takes on the 7th seed Curse Academy to determine the final squad who will travel to London and compete for the Summer Series 1 title.
And both are more than qualified to move on. We're talking 2 star-studded teams where 8 of the 10 players are former LCS pros.
Exactly. So Team Coast may have lost their spot in the LCS when they fell to Complexity 3-1 in the Summer Promo Tournament, but Rux, Golden Glue, Mash, and Sheep are all hungry to get back in.
And all those names are well known in the LCS, and they're all individually skilled players, so are the members of Curse Academy. On the other side is Chris, St. Vicious, ManCloud, and Bunny Fufu. They have also been there before, so this is a matchup that's going to come down to who has the better team cohesion and teamwork.
Exactly, and you know the team's kind of coming together recently too, which means it's a lot of learning to do all at once. So here's the teamwork has been playing out so far in Series 1. Yesterday, Team LOL Pro beat Frank Fang Gaming 2-0 and will now play in the finals on Sunday, June 22nd, in front of a sold-out Wembley Arena. They will play whoever wins tonight's match between Team Coast and Curse Academy there.
And whoever loses tonight will play against Frank Fang Gaming on Thursday, June 19th for 3rd place, which will clinch more points and automatic entry into the Summer Series 2.
And speaking of points, here's the score leading into tonight's action. With their win, Team LOL Pros broken away from the pack with at least 7 points guaranteed in Series 1, 9 if they win the whole thing. And they're also followed by the 3 teams who can still earn more points with victories. That's Curse Academy, Frank Fang Gaming, and Team Coast.
And the 4 teams on the bottom, Area of Effect, Cloud9 Tempest, Team Green Forest, and XDG have been eliminated and can no longer earn any more points in Summer Series 1. They'll now have to requalify in order to carry their scores over to Series 2.
So now that that business is out of the way, we'd like to wish everybody, or I guess the ones who it's relevant for, a happy Father's Day. To all the dads, yeah, that's the one. Zyrene, did you get your dad anything?
I did. He calls me every day after work asking for the Challenger scores, stat schedules, and more, and how many ganks St. Vicious has made. It's pretty exhausting to deal with.
Wow. So how'd you get all that information?
Gave him lolesports.com. Under the Leagues and Tournaments tab, there you'll find scores, schedules, and everything else you need to follow the Challenger Series and the LCS all season long. And now he won't be calling me every day.
Oh, you're a very lazy son.
I know.
Well, with all of our dad's love here in the matchup between Team Coast and Curse Academy, now when you look at the roster, it's hard to believe that this is an LCS game because there's so many good players on it.
Yeah, only 2 of these players haven't been in the LCS, and only one of them hasn't played on the LCS stage because Santorin here, on the Coast lineup, competed in the Summer Promo Tournament, or the Spring Promo Tournament, I guess. Actually, Summer Promo.
Yep, Summer Promo Tournament.
Exactly. So it's Rux, Santorin, Golden Glue, Mash, and Sheep. Mashme has moved from the jungle back to the AD carry position for this round. We also haven't seen Santorin yet in the Challenger Series this season. And then Curse Academy on the other side, they have Chris, St. Vicious, ManCloud, Impactful, and Bunny Fufu. Impactful is the person we haven't seen yet. They were using X-Pekek previously, and a lot of this is just they're bringing in new people. We haven't seen this Coast roster in full effect just yet. How do they have teamwork down at this point? Do they even have it down? Because Santorin, to my knowledge, I haven't seen him play with Coast just yet. He is in the States, though. Exactly.
Yeah, and to talk about that, right? Like you look at that one, and it's the fact that they've been playing with the sub-jungler Milk. Or Delicious Milk GG if you know him from the ladders. And this is, I think this is actually the first televised match we're going to see with that full roster. And you've got to wonder how good this energy is.
Yeah, and another thing, too, that we have to keep an eye on is this mid-lane rematch between Golden Glue and Mandatory Cloud, which happened back in Spring Split on week 11. As you can see, Golden Glue had a 14 KDA against ManCloud, who had just above a 1, and Dignitas ended up taking that game with Golden Glue.
And we're going to see if his supporting cast is just as strong there. Of course, the new Dig roster is freaking awesome. They're in first place. And you know, it's a bunch of sort of watch for in all this. And to keep in mind as well, we were talking about the players that were in the LCS before, those that weren't, and one of the names sticks out. Impactful, the AD carry of Curse Academy, with no such stage experience. I was talking with Brogashard the other day, and he actually still keeps up with the Challenger scene despite being in the LCS himself. He's a lot of ties to these players. And in his mind, Impactful's actually one of the best players in that team, the guy without that kind of experience. Now, if this team makes it to the finals, sometimes nerves can set you back, and he might underperform there, and as the games get more important, that could set him back. But in his mind, like, as far as his individual player skill goes, Impactful is like the guy to watch in that team.
Okay, and he would be very familiar with him because he's formerly of Complexity Red,
Right.
up against Complexity Black, which Broken Shard used to be on. So now, with that little endorsement, wonder how he's going to do against Don't Mash Me, who's very tried and true, and I regard as the best challenger AD carry currently.
Yeah, it's great because the title used to be Robert Xlees, then it was All Text,
graduated,
and now it's Mash. It's like best AD carry not in the LCS in North America. Right now, title goes to Mash unless you can take it away from him.
Well, the last two
made it to the LCS. It's
so,
not like they got worse. They got picked up. So.
Yeah, and also Mash Me was on Curse Academy previously, where he was able to take Complexity to 5 games. I remember that matchup in the playoffs. It was very close to being in the promo tournament that round.
Well, it didn't happen for them this time, but here we go. Another chance to make it to the playoffs. Make it to the promo tournament later on this year. Picks and bans coming through. Team Coast banning away Thresh from Bunny Fufu. Smart choice. Yasuo away from ManCloud, and the Lulu dropped out as well. The Kale and Cassidon dropped off. And, you know, that makes a whole bunch of sense because when you've got an assassin mid laner like Golden Glue and a carry top laner like Rux, you want to move that out, but it does give Mash Lucian first pick.
Yeah, it also baits them into having to take Braum first rotation here for Curse Academy because you don't want Lucian to be paired up with Braum at all. It's a very devastating lane combo. They did ban away the Thresh, which means they weren't going to first pick Braum if it was available because they would have picked Thresh. They don't want to support there because Sheep and Bunny Fufu are both masters at Thresh. Back when they were in the LCS, it was like, all right, you got to ban it because it's their top champion.
Absolutely. And it's weird, too, because we talk about the combos such as like Braum Lucian. So, for example, the last game we just saw between Dig and C9, 2 teams in the very top ladder, he actually went, it was actually the first game that Braum ever went unpicked or unbanned in the LCS. It took, you know, the entire week because one game he didn't go through. So, some of the pros aren't actually tunneling into that very much. Like, I haven't even seen a Braum Lucian lane, I don't think. Like, there's probably been one that I'm, like, not remembering, but...
It gets separated pretty quickly. If somebody picks Lucian first pick, which is he's going to be picked first rotation because of how powerful he is.
Typically.
Yeah, but now they can combine Braum with Twitch. Impactful is very familiar with that champion. They can do a lot with that.
Well, we're going to see what else they can do with the 4 picks still to go, though, for Coast, because Curse Academy have already shown their hand and said, hey, guys, ManCloud's playing Nidalee, and we removed that, you know, strong engaged support of Braum down here that's going to go to Bunny Fufu. Coast right now, to me, like, when there's Nidalee in the game, and I know, like Jat said in the commentary, Nidalee's one of those champions where you know what the game's about once she's picked.
Yeah.
It's very obvious, and you got to make sure you play around it.
Yeah, you have to pick around it, too.
Sure.
Santorin, he goes with the Lee Sin, his most played champion. And here's a fun fact. Santorin doesn't play with game sounds. So now he's blind, he's deaf, and he's the same nationality as Deficio. I don't know why you would give yourself 3 handicaps. That's
one
ridiculous.
He didn't choose.
That's true. That's true. It's the worst one, too.
I know, right? Oh, well, unfortunate for him, but he'll have to make do with what he can. That's why he came to America, to get away from Deficio.
There we go. I don't blame him.
Unfortunately, Joe and Demon are stuck cast with the guy every week, but oh well. That's why NIP didn't qualify for the summer split. They didn't want to be with him anymore. Like, go join Riot instead. We don't want you. We're like, okay, sure. Little did we know.
Anyway, looks like they're hovering over the Twitch. I assume that's going to be locked in here for Curse Academy because it pairs so well with Braum. You can keep him safe. You can give him extra resistances. And the fact that you can just use Fissure right across his ultimate is just devastating in team fights. And there's a lot they could pair this with. There's just a lot of options here for Curse Academy. And they get disengaged too and kite backwards.
This is interesting. Curse Academy have a team that's honestly pretty similar to CLG's. Mostly I'm talking about the fact that they have Nidalee and Twitch in the same team.
Yeah.
But they're going to be happy to have, you know, some team fight power plus all the siege potential, but Coast gets the rest of their lineup through, and they're just putting damage into the fire. They've added now Ziggs to the lineup plus the Morgana as well. So mediocre hard engage against a poke comp, and we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, Morgana does pretty well against Braum in the laning phase. The 2 champions that really shut Braum down are Zyra and Morgana currently. And, you know, it's no surprise that Sheep went with that. It's his next most played behind Thresh. They're actually very close now in terms of his games played in solo queue. He's been abandoning his baby. He's been adopting another. And I like the pick of the Ziggs here so that they can wave clear and shove in the Nidalee early, possibly make some moves onto buffs. And they also get to that late game part where you just like clearing the waves out, then you back up and wait for the next wave so you're not even in spear range, and then you just throw down some bombs, clear it again, and the siege is just never ending until somebody makes a move and gets caught out.
Well, see, that happens right now because we've got some top laners who can start fights and dive and do all kinds of crazy things. Aurelia picked up here for Chris in the top lane to fight up against Rux's Shyvana. So both these guys able to jump into fights, and I want to see if Chris stays with the Ignite here and makes it a very different kind of game, because if you've got the TP advantage and you get some 5-on-4 flank, stuff goes crazy. Coast has plenty of damage in their lineup. Curse Academy the same, although it's a pretty low amount of AoE, so I want to see if that actually comes into play very much.
Yeah, going to have to see how that goes. And yeah, I definitely want to keep focus on whether or not that Ignite goes through for Chris, because if he takes Teleport, he loses a lot of lane sustain.
Kill pressure.
I wouldn't say kill pressure. He gains kill pressure by having Ignite.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, but if he switches that over for Teleport, or he keeps it like this, well, let's just say he keeps it like this. He gains lane pressure and kill potential, but he loses out on lane sustain and just farming, which is something Aurelia really needs, is to be able to teleport into the fights and be that threat. So he's going to be very present with this team, and I think what it means is that he's not going to be, he might be split pushing and trying to just take it to Rux and beat him in a one-on-one, and then just continue and fall over, because his team's going to be poking the entire time. And I actually think this, if he sticks with the Ignite, sticks to Chris's playstyle, because he's known as a Riven main. He's known as a very aggressive player, and Teleport isn't really his style for the most part.
Just destroy people instead.
But watch him have Teleport, and it's just like, okay,
yep, last 4 seconds.
Standard top lane, boom!
Yep, there it is.
Hey-o!
and to me, honestly, that makes the most sense, because when you look at
standard one.
Well, but even beyond that, right? Like, there's comps where like Ignite top laner makes sense, where I really feel it's like you're best served by split pushing. In this case, though, right? If they do dive you with Shyvana, you need to show up in a 5v5. Like they're not going to win by Chris split pushing. They're going to win by Mancloud's javelins, and then making sure the rest of their map is safe, right? Making sure there's no other ways in, which means counteract the split push by facing up against it, right? And re-engage when they jump at you.
And Aurelia isn't a split pusher. She has no wave clear in her kit. Everything's single target except for her ultimate, and that's not very good at clearing waves for the most part. You only get about one, or even maybe just half of one.
Yeah, I mean she's no Shyvana at push speed. It's decent.
She shows up
right,
to the fight, and you get on the squishies, and you cause the pressure. That's what Aurelia's role is in the late game with movement speed and gap closers.
All right, well, we'll see how this one pans out, guys. We're into the match 1 minute in, and already an early aggressive push from Coast, getting trinket wards down in Curse Academy's jungle, won by the Wraith Camp 1. Watching this top side, and that ward, we'll see Chris just waiting around.
Definitely worth it at that point. They got information. And if Braum actually passes that, they will see the lane swap coming here for Coast. So Coast will be able to set up completely what they want. And Curse Academy, actually, it's going to be a mutual agreement here. They're both going to be like, all right, it's time to lane swap. It's time to just go with this. But this sets Coast up for an early dragon on this side of the map.
There'll be something to watch for absolutely in this one. Rux and Santorin are going to duo jungle on the bot side, and looks like a pretty similar situation there. Both teams will start on the sort of southern jungle here. But because they're both near their dual lanes, you're going to get 2 buff starts on both sides.
Here's the thing, too, is Coast doesn't know that Curse Academy is doing their blue because their wards weren't that shallow. They actually had deep wards that just showed them on the near the red buff.
Yeah, it doesn't mean too much, though, because
they could guess it.
I mean, the 2 top left buffs are theirs regardless. Like, you know by the dual lane up there, you have the assumed gentleman's agreement, like, you get those 2, we get these 2. And as soon as they see Saint Vicious, they see, is the red buff timing out more, like, faster or slower than their blue buff? And then you know which one they did first.
Yes.
So you can actually get your jungle timers just by clicking Saint at some point.
Well, it'd be hard, because he's invisible.
Yeah. I mean, if he doesn't gank for 4 minutes, then you don't get it at all. And then you have a little mind game where Curse Academy knows whether the blue or red comes up, and that can be used. I just don't think it's likely. I expect to see Saint at some point.
I do want to keep big tabs on this middle lane, because Mandatory Cloud used to have the highest CS per 10 as a mid laner, but up against Golden Glue kind of creamed him in lane. Had a 14 KDA back when they were in the LCS against each other. So I want to see this matchup, because Mandatory Cloud was winning it in CS. Golden Glue was winning it and just straight on bringing the brawl to him. This could be a very deciding factor in this lane, because these 2 champions will dictate what the comp does in the late game.
And we'll see what happens in the late game, because right now early game's happening, and Coast is going to take that dragon. They're going to leave. This seems to be the standard way to do it. You leave the AD carry down in the lane. He takes the free farm, and you just do the standard 3-man dragon here that no one seems to contest. So this is right now the tax you get for lane swapping. Is a dragon goes away, and I want to see this metagame evolve some more. I talked about it yesterday, but again, like, you can 4-man push the opposite lane instead of jungling and recalling back. You can 4-man push, and you can trade a turret for dragon, assuming you can balance the waves properly afterwards. And instead, really nothing of value at all is gained for Curse Academy.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a 3-man in the bottom lane here, just keeping Impactful up top, getting the CS onto him. The dragon was taken by Coast, which basically you said, that side of the map, that's what they get for it. But here's the thing, what do they do with that gold? Are they going to put it into items? We saw this yesterday and the team that kept taking Dragon first wasn't transitioning into wards, which they need to get that pressure, because the early Dragon isn't worth that much gold, and it's spread out over a lot of members. You buy consumables, you buy some wards, make sure that you can win your lane and transition that gold into more gold. That's what the first Dragon is, an investment.
Well, I like this transition right now by Coast, though. I like that both Rux and Santorin show top lane. They break the freeze right now of Impactful's Twitch, and that's going to unlock them on the map a little bit.
Oh, but here comes St. Vicious down into the bottom lane here. And if Chris is known for anything, he's known for setting up ganks. We'll see if he can do it.
There's the attempt going in. Red buff only on Saint. Slow instead of Sheep, forced to flash away. Bind's going to hit Chris here. Of course, Sheep, not level 3, can't Black Shield himself, so away they go. But now, if they're paying attention, they know the buff spawns because Saint only has red here. And it's just a trade of a flash and a heal actually gone on Coast's side.
Yeah, they get 2 summoner spells for none in that bottom lane. They do get St. Vicious low, which means that Santorin, if he wants to, he can go ahead and start counter jungling. But we'll have to see. Oh, ManCloud getting taken really low.
Yeah, he's taking a good bit of damage. It looks like he will not lose any summoners. Nice dodge of the bouncing bomb. That could have almost been enough to force a summoner heal out, but it's not going to be the case. Golden Glue just pushing under the turret. Does have a 9-minion lead right here. ManCloud can equalize about 6 of them if he plays this right. So, to be honest, fairly close in the minion game, but definitely a quantifiable lead for Golden Glue in the one-on-one.
Yeah, big thing about this matchup is that Ziggs will bully around Nidalee in the early game and just constantly wave clear on top of her because she lacks that type of kit, and the fact that his auto attacks are a little more potent.
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. It is to be expected, but if he can snowball that farther, it's going to be, you know, a low impact Nidalee for a long time, and that can definitely make your comp backfire.
But the fact that ManCloud is keeping up right now and is only 3 CS behind, despite being harassed constantly, is a big testament to his skill as a CS and laner.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, now it looks like this left-hand side lane is going to be the target of attention. It's going to be a 4-on-2 right now, as St. Vicious still walking across the map. 1 minute until that buff spawns. He's actually pink wards the Western blue buff there. Hopefully that work can stay alive and they can play for that buff in about a minute.
Here's the thing, is that they know that Chris is there. They don't know that St. Vicious is there. And now they're collapsing from the mid lane, and they have Sheep here too.
So Sheep and Golden Glue coming in. It's going to be a 4-on-4. Ziggs ulti going to be used to wave clear up there, and that will be no real turret damage dealt. These guys are staying safe. The dive does not matter. Chris and Saint lost about 45 seconds just to take 1 jungle camp.
And in that meantime, ManCloud decides to back and get himself a chalice. So he's going to get shoved in on by Golden Glue, who's going to back and buy some goodies for himself now. He has a decent CS lead now. He took some from the top lane too. Got a cannon in there.
But it's worth pointing out that a CS lead is actually a very relevant way to win the game. The early Dragon's worth 700-ish, but the team's up about 1,000 gold. Rux and Santorin, and even Golden Glue, have been up in that top lane getting some of the farm that Impactful's been letting push to the turret, whereas MASH is still constantly frozen this one. They eventually pushed Chris out of the lane as well, so there's a gold and XP advantage to Coast because they're actually getting all 3 lanes, while Chris Academy's only getting 2 of them.
They're going to go ahead and take this blue buff away, but Coast, they want to have something to say about it.
Rux going to put some damage down. Javelin will not land. Golden Glue off in the wings. The spell's coming out, and Golden Glue actually claims the blue buff while Santorin was doing the red on the bottom side. So out jungling right now for Coast. Very well played. Saint had no reason to be on the eastern side of the map, but he was.
Big thing. Saint is level 4 right now. Santorin is about a camp and a half away from 6.
Wow.
So Santorin's ganks are going to be very potent, and the blue is up right now. If he wants to start contesting it, he can go for it. Sheep is there as well. They're collapsing on it.
Oh, they're making their way on up. Of course, they have the timer. They clear this camp themselves, and they're trying to bully these guys around. There's a ward into the brush that's going to help them a whole little bit here. Saint still only level 4, of course, can't do much. Chris also 4. Sheep lands up binding. There's the killing as well. Saint is very squishy.
Oh,
Chris loses a quarter of his health as well. Black Shield goes on his Sheep, and there's the Q on in. The damage coming through. First blood goes over to Rux thanks to a teleport, and now the blue buff being acquired here by Coast should be very safe.
Santorin takes a huge spear into his backside, and he's going to get 6 off of that camp. They gave 6 to him very consciously so that he could have his ultimate for this gank.
ManCloud in the wrong spot. St. Vicious maybe also as well, but there's the engage. A 4-man Ziggs ulti, and Bunny Poo trying to keep the team alive. Looks like he'll be in a bad spot, but his team's going to be okay. Dodging some of the bombs. Javelin hits Golden Glue. Looks like nothing else picked up, but it does mean Chris now out of the turret. Going to land it slow. Was getting some farm underneath that. MASH be taking some damage. Curse Academy will keep this turret safe.
And they go 1 for 1 on the overall, but a lot of buffs go over to Coast.
Yeah, absolutely. They did a 3-0 on buffs right now. 3-0 on buffs. Excellently played. First blood, they did lose 1 kill back, but Excellent, excellent stuff.
Dragon is very close to being up right now, and both teleports are down. There's a advantage in terms of levels all across coast. Santorin is 6, Rux is 6. If they go to the Dragon, they have the timer on it, and they team fight it, they will most likely win just because of the levels.
Uh-oh, speaking of levels though, level 4, Chris gets a stun there, buddy who forced to flash away, jumping into his team to stay safe a little bit longer. Looks like he'll be okay for that one. Rux did die in that fight after the initial kill, so it was a 1-for-1 engagement. We didn't call that one out a little while ago. But it's now a 1,400 gold lead for Coast. That number has been growing. The Siege on the mid lane. Level 4 Chris still can't do much.
Here comes
on the Switch off on the side. He does not have ulti, though. He's got to be careful. And he'll just slink back towards the turret. Walks through a minefield as he goes through. Saint will now grab his red buff on this side of the map, waiting to still get level 6. He does off that camp. So ulti available on Eve for this fight. Dragon is back up, though, and Coast are in position.
Mash me down in the bottom lane. He's actually going to push it all the way up to the tower and just put damage onto the tower, pull impactful to him. And the rest of Curse Academy is actually backed right now, and they give up another Dragon in this game, giving Coast about a 4K gold lead, 3K gold lead.
Absolutely excellent play now by Team Coast. They are doing this.
I can't do math, too.
2.3. If you round it up every time, it'll be 3K. Mashby, really nice play with the ulti. Just keeps hitting impactful. That was absolutely perfect from Mash right there.
Making it closer to 3K. It's 2.7 now. There, 3.3K. It's in the future a little bit, guys. Amazing play there with the culling on the side and the backup of Santorin. Coast, so far, I brought into question how they're going to mesh with this jungler. And Santorin, he's only played with them a couple times at this point. They were playing with Delicious Milk GG for so long, but this team all around is so skilled. He drops turret aggro with his Relentless Pursuit, and then he comes right back into range, takes about 2-3 shots, and that's all she wrote. If he had just stayed in range of the turret, he would have been brought much lower than that.
I'm just still fanboying over how perfect that culling was. He hit every single bolt. Like, that was ludicrously impressive. That was just freaking awesome. And of course, yeah, this team came in to make that happen as well. And now Coast are sitting on a sizable gold lead here. And of course, you got a level 5 Aurelia versus Zerk Greaves and a BF sword on Mash. Like, he's not going to lose that matchup basically ever.
And a level 8 Lucian. He has 3 levels up. Basically, all those Doran's blades that Chris has in his inventory, basically how much Mash has in combat stats over her. Just by levels.
Just by that. So you got to be careful. Saint does not get spotted. He's going to flank out of Santorin. Bit of damage, but there comes the Sheep, and Saint not in the good spot anymore. Running away. Nice binding hits, and Mash finds another kill. He's 2-0-1. Both he and Santorin have been a part of every single kill this game, and now top lane's being attacked.
Yeah, and when I was talking with some members of Coast, their main shot caller is Golden Glue, but that was before they got Santorin on the team. And Mash was their secondary caller. He makes a lot of calls, and he's a vocal member of the team. But now, Santorin, I believe they want him to step up, be making the calls, and it shows here because he has all of the assists alongside Mash.
They're making all the plays, and it's been a wonderful thing to watch for these guys. Team Coast looking very good in this matchup. Now, close to 5,000 gold, and Curse Academy's comp might just never come online.
And Golden Glue has 40 CS over ManCloud, the record holder for most at 10 in the LCS.
Yeah, right now Golden Glue is hitting that that really awesome mark you like to see, which is 10 CS per minute. He's besting that ever so slightly right here, and that is a good thing to see. Impactful wants to slink around to the back lines and get some farm for himself, but you can see how scared he's forced to be, and you can see the purpose of kills because like a Bloodthirster and a Ruin King have the exact same gold cost. You've got a finished BT plus Zerk Greaves plus room to move around the map, and Impactful still hasn't combined his first major item. So I mean, down the line, you've got way more useful people on Coast.
I think a big part of this game is the fact that Coast played the map in the early game better. They got the first dragon, they transitioned it correctly into a second dragon, and they got experience in all of the lanes on the right people, and they're jungling. When the buffs went over to them, they got those little boosts by the time the second dragon came up. Because that's what you want to do. You want to do the buffs around that 7-minute portion a little bit later so that you have them when the dragon fight happens.
Yeah, if you can make it happen, please do so. And I gotta say, like, just the fact, though, that Coast was in a better position. Like, Curse Academy went for the invade to steal the 7-minute blue buff on the left-hand side of the map. While that was happening, Santorin was getting his own red buff, so at least he's trading 1 buffs for 1 in the worst-case scenario. But Saint wasn't anywhere to be seen. He was not doing literally anything.
He tried to come over to the red.
Yeah, like,
and then they chased him back to his blue, and they took his blue from him.
Okay. I didn't see he was actually trying to counter jungle the red buff, because, yeah, that didn't work out at all.
That's when Santorin was so close to level 6, and Saint was still 4.
Okay.
So he was trying to get that blue, or trying to get that red, and then it just didn't happen, and he ended up giving up his own buff for it. that Santorin got to hit 6.
Yeah.
And then they just transitioned into a great fight down bottom. And man, Mash Me.
Another Culling hits most of the bullets. Last half doesn't do too much, but you know what? Sheep takes a Javelin, and in they go for the turret. This early siege is working from Ziggs and the Bloodthirster Lucian, and that will be mid-tier 2 at 14 minutes. Team Coast continuing to play awesomely.
It's also 4 sweepers at 14 minutes. They're trying to push up, deny vision control, and they have 2 sight stones because Santorin is Lee Sin, and it goes right into his build path. They're going to ward up the jungle. If you look at the vision right now, lots of pinks, lots of blue, green wards over on that side, all across the map. They're just littered all throughout. They want control of this area, and they want to deny vision from Curse Academy so they can't extend without being picked off.
And it's working so well for this lineup, man. Team Coast have been making good choices this entire game. I haven't seen a single real misstep by these guys. They've been firing on all cylinders. So I just want to see, you know, how else they play this game, because this is, you know, a team that's, if they keep this up, headed towards the finals, right? I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but like, it's just like we're in a downtime right now, and it's like Team Coast haven't shown any slip-ups. In Team Coast Academy, they honestly, I haven't seen great moves from them. They've made greedy moves that haven't paid off, and that's it.
Their comp has to come online here. They have an Aurelia in the top lane who requires a lot of farm. Twitch, he has the Blade of the Ruined King completed. He can start assassinating people, but it might be a little too late because of that 6k gold lead already. We'll have to see what he can do, and if he goes for something like a Yumu's, or if he goes for a more fighter build, like team fighter build, I'll put it that way, as opposed to assassination. And now they're forcing Curse Academy to buy all of these pink wards to defend their own territory.
Yeah, and I mean, like, look how deep in the territory they are. Team Coast just stole away that topside red buff. That was Rux going in there battling against
Santorin's
that. Santorin's got to jump back to a ward. He stays safe. Wow! The burst in towards Satan Bunny. Curse Academy once again lose control of the map as buffs are respawning soon again. So over and over, just like Coast always in the right place at the right time. Santorin heals back up pretty healthily, and he's going to look for some more things to do. Top lane still being pushed in.
They're picking the go
spot. Yeah.
There's a lot of just go in pings currently, and Dragon just came back online, and St. Vicious is so low he has to back, and the smite will not be around for Curse Academy. This might be the 3rd Dragon in a row going to Coast.
And pretty much immaculately as well. The burst damage that came out from Golden Blue pushed away St. Vicious, earned his team the uncontested dragon. Uncontestable dragon, to be completely fair on this one. And Santorin going to smite that safely. Still 0-0-3. We haven't had kills in a while. Because Curse Academy respects the damage that Coast have, and they won't fight him when there's going to be battles this easy.
Yeah. And Golden Blue CS is crazy. Speaking of battles that are easy, he's about to back and buy a huge amount of items for himself there. He just cashed in on a needlessly large rod, I believe, when he went back. And now has a lot of AoE damage that he can deal in those team fights. We saw it earlier. That was before he had that extra AP in his back pocket. Now he's just an utterly destructive force that wave clears and does so much damage to your team.
Heck yeah, he champion clears at this point.
Yeah.
Like when you're up there as Ziggs, you got champion clear.
You wave clear the champions.
There you go. Here we go. Mash up in the front, takes the black shield. Bunny people block what he can, but Sheep has got to be real careful. Gets blown up right there. A little over aggressive. ManCloud shows up as well. There's a Ziggs bomb trying to save the turret, but I think Curse Academy is going to get that one anyway. They don't care too much about the turret damage on a Chris, who is now level 9, has the Phage and a Ninja Tabby, and they might just keep going.
Yeah, Sheep's black shield was not up in time for the concussive blows. Would have stopped that stun, but they end up getting a turret off of it from great rotation by Curse Academy. A little bit of wave clear, but now they get control of the jungle. They get their deep wards, trying to bring the fight back to Coast.
All right, this could be very good then for Curse Academy if they can start playing a bit more aggressive and making these right kind of moves. They've got, again, a stealth jungler. They've had some teleport moves. They've got a stealth AD carry as well, and Brahm's a good engage tool. There are ways for Curse Academy to claim something and make the plays. Golden Blue, though, uncontested, going to grab his blue buff there. Continue maybe his wave clear game if you can. Pink ward in inventory. And actually, the wards have all timed out for Coast. They're on this sort of cooldown period where they're not able to do anything, and Curse Academy actually back to making good moves.
Yeah, they're in the siege position now where they can go ahead and just chuck javelins in. But here comes Rux from the side.
This could be pretty big risk. Sheep's going to get the flash bind on towards Chris. Santorin jumps in. 3-man kick right there. Beautifully done. But it's just the disengage for Curse Academy.
It's an unintentional 3-man kick there because the flash came out from Chris. You wanted to kick him into his team, but instead just gets extra damage to dissuade them from continuing the fight. They're rewarded with a blue buff here, another objective, and Coast's objective control has been on point all game long. They have 4 turrets to 1, 3 dragons to none, lots of blue buffs falling into their hands, and just lots of camps just going their way. And that's how they have this experience advantage. Rux, 2 levels up over Chris. He has level 2 ultimate. versus just a level 1 ultimate in a guy who just got rank 5 in one of his spells. There's huge power spikes here for Coast.
Absolutely massive. I mean, Coast are sitting very, very pretty right now. They don't have the most massive tank due to straight turret dive. They've got some time to go, actually. I do like that Rux is stopping on just Cutlass. It'll let him push towards Randuin sooner and be that dive champion, so they can, you know, not let the enemy team come online. You saw this from EG versus LMQ, for example, where if you take too long, eventually the items show up and they can come back at you. So being able to dive and close the game out, I think, very important right now for Coast. Just because we've seen some comebacks in challenges here. So you guys are watching us today.
Yes.
We've seen ourselves some comebacks in this tournament.
Yes. Teams that have wave clear against teams that don't have siege potential, but that is this game right now.
Absolutely
but Nidalee, you're never safe. As long as Nidalee gets items, it's going to be crazy. Yeah, yesterday we saw a 10k deficit, and the team with Kog'Maw ended up winning that one. LOLPro brought it out off the final fight. They had been in their base for 20 minutes. Curse Academy, sister team of LOLPro.
True.
Can they do it? Have they been scrimming and having those strategies?
Can they play the same kind of style? Well, Bunny's going to hit Bunny Poo Poo, and there's the culling coming by as well. Half HP, good amount of damage onto him.
Nash gets every bolt off. That's the second culling. Yep. He's just, yep,
yeah,
every one of them.
That one's easier, to be fair.
Yes.
That was a 3-second dark binding. So, you know, that one's hard to miss, to be completely fair, but hey, good job all the same. Bottom lane tier 2 turret now going down when Coast do group up to siege. When they finally get there, it's really difficult for Curse Academy to deal with. They've now gotten themselves towards the bottom inhibitor turret. They're staying as a pretty large group right here, and the damage is starting to come through. Shyvana waiting in the wings off to the side to look for flankers. Of course, they see Eve is not coming from that side, and they're staying safe.
There's a lot of siege potential here from both teams. We see that Coast, they can go ahead and just wave clear. Mash has the Sheen, and he's able to just chunk the turret down very quickly. But at the same time, Curse Academy, if you eat 1 or 2 spears, you have to back off.
Yeah, they don't have a healer unlike Curse Academy, so they've got to be pretty careful when the damage does come through. It's a little bit too early to grab Baron unless you completely outplay the vision game or like kill somebody, so Coast not going to have those regen tools for some time in this one. Instead, items still coming through. Most of Trinity Force now done for Mash. Golden Glue finishes Death Cap. That's definitely worth recalling for. And some more armor also comes in on Santorin. So, again, you talk about power spikes coming in. They're definitely here right now. The only thing they're missing is no Mikhails yet onto Sheep. So there is still a good chance for picks from Curse Academy.
And Curse Academy's pick potential is really impactful. He's going to have to take that Zeal. He's going to have to turn that into, I assume it's going to be a static Shiv. He could turn it into Phantom Dancer.
Yeah.
And go either way there. But he's not going for the Youmuu's build. He's not going for the assassination. He's going for the team fighting, which is what they've been looking at mostly. Curse Academy, the way they've been playing is kind of, we're going to poke you down, and hopefully you give us a team fight afterwards. Because that's what Rux wants to do. Rux wants a team fight. You can tell that's his style. He's going to push, wave clear, show up to the fight. And now, there's another dragon coming up in 20 seconds. They're setting up for it, putting wards all around, and Rux has his teleport available. Chris, his is available now. But he's already here. He's not going to be able to stop Rux's push.
Yeah, I mean, so it just depends. Is Coast going to buy enough time to pressure the top turret? He's actually going to be walking down across the map. Doesn't want to have to burn his teleport. So we'll see how much time Coast can buy, because Curse Academy is starting it right away. They are grouped up. There's the TP in from Shyvana. That's going to be a flank. Manclave losing about a quarter of his health. Chris will take some of it. And here comes the engage. Ziggs Bomb's going to hit a few, and there comes the Shyvana as well. Big damage comes through, but there is Twitch putting out the damage. Impactful is trying, but so far 2-1. This is going pretty well for Curse Academy, but the damage is starting to come back across. Rux forced away. Manclave trying to chase down. Just everybody's killing everybody right now. Impactful is going to get the stealth in, but now can Mash chase him. He sees the guy went to the left-hand side. Can he double back? Can he get anywhere he wants to be through the tri-burst? The move speed. Enough. The flash for Mashme. He finds Impactful. 1 attack to go. Slow comes out. Javelin slows Mash. Golden Glue shows up. The flash W. The shutdown comes through. Mancloud slowed a little bit by the red buff. One more bomb. Doesn't quite land it. More leaps. Can Mancloud get this wall? Yes, he does.
Very, very good heal there for the movement speed increase. But the flash to get that extra damage out from Mashme. And the pink ward, too. They've had pink wards in their inventory for a very long time. There's still even one on Sheep just sitting there. Now the dragon, 4th dragon of the game, going over to Team Coast. Their objective control is just fantastic. And they get a tiny lead, and they create an even larger lead with it, which is what I love to see teams do. Right here, Rux forces them to fight. They have to go into the rest of the team of Coast. Sheep pretty much sacrifices himself here to just get the slow off. get his ultimate off in the Soul Shackles, while Rux forces them into this bottom half of the map because they can't retreat back to their blue buff over a Shyvana who's just going to ulti you back into the team.
Yeah. It's worth pointing out, though, like, despite the giant gold deficit, the fight went 4-3, which isn't horrible. And how well Impactful did right there, right? He had 4 kills before going down. He is every single kill on his team. St. Vicious, not in the right spot, though. A little over-aggressive. Kicked up the knock-up to Impactful. And now Bunny Fufu's not exactly in the right spot. Ziggs Bomb comes out. A second kill grabbed up. And CA one more time forced from it. There comes Rux, done up by Chris. But there's the rest of the team flashing away. Santorin is around. Can he land the Q? Yes, he doesn't, actually. And it's going to be the Flame Breath. Rux picking up another one, 3-0. That fight, much better.
And that looks like it's going to be a Baron off of that. They got the smite down from St. Vicious, and now, very aggressive player, 24 minutes in. Coast with the objective control all game long. 4 dragons, now they're going for a Baron.
It's going to be even more global gold for the team. You're seeing a 12,000 gold lead about to become 13.5. Because Coast have just made good choices the whole time. Curse Academy knows they can't contest, so it's Mancleb pushing bottom to get whatever he can. Maybe some turret damage, maybe the turret itself, if he's fast enough with it. But I mean, it's going to take some time and a lot of damage from Impactful to turn this game around. He does finish the Phantom Dancer, but there's not a lot of ways back in for CA unless this game slows down a hell of a lot.
They don't really have a lot of wave clear at their disposal either. So once they get pushed in, it's pretty much poking around the wave. Aurelia can't clear it from a range. She's mostly single target, like I said earlier. Nidalee, melee range for her wave clear. Twitch, he's about it, and he didn't get a static shift, so he can't clear that well either. I mean, it adds a tiny bit, but still, they don't have any wave clear options available.
No, they don't. When the siege happens, I mean, we've seen every single siege, even before Baron Bound. When Coast said, I'm going to siege, Curse Academy was like, good turret kill, dog, and then to back away. and
just like that.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason Aurelia could work out, because Aurelia's a good duelist. And like, if she was beating up Rux, she'd pull attention. They're actually going to try to do that right now. Actually, Impactful coming in. Rux still has the ulti available, so nothing to be picked up. But like, if Chris could beat Rux 1v1, they could break apart Coast Siege.
It's a super tall order. They'd have to kill him about 3 times before Chris catches up in level.
Oh, I mean, sure, he's super far behind. I'm not saying it's a reality in this game, but like, if that could have happened,
Saint's going for a flank right now with the rest of his team. Impactful still has his Rat-Tat-Tat available.
Green ward comes down. Javelin not going to land
here.
They're looking
Rux
for it.
no TP.
Those wards don't see anything though, but they don't go for the fight right here. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, I guess you didn't have Braum around, but that's like one of your very few opportunities where it's like they're kind of face-checking into you. Their wards actually don't see you guys yet, but team was too spread out.
Mash just decimates turrets alongside Rux currently, who completed his Blade of the Ruined King for that extra dueling power. So Chris is even further off from completing his first item, the Trinity Force, and getting to his Aurelia item power spikes, as well as his level power spikes. He doesn't even have rank 5 in a second skill yet.
And that's the thing, we talked about this in the very beginning of the game, actually. Coast put a pretty heavy emphasis on getting the farm on people like Rux and Santorin. They showed up top lane and shoved it out to break the freeze. They showed up top lane to defend, and Ziggs ulted to stop the dive. And there were just gold and XP coming into the top lane that was not going to Chris, and now here's the siege again.
Yeah, you can't clear this wave fast enough as Curse Academy. They don't have any wave clear. Oh!
Almost kicks Mancleb back. The leap's going to keep him safe for a short time, but now there's the Ziggs ulti, or sorry, the Ziggs damage. The Twitch ulti actually has been burned, but now he's been disengaged from, so no more damage going to come through from that. Javelin hits Sheep, but now the damage on towards the middle inhibitor right here. Rux still healthy. Santorin dodges the Javelin, and there's the inhib going down 27.5 minutes in.
Yeah, Santorin looks like a great pickup for this team. 90% kill participation alongside Mash, making some plays, making some aggressive movements, and just putting a lot of pressure on the team. I like the team composition that Coast made for themselves, and the fact they got that early dragon and just kept getting objectives. They haven't given up a single dragon or baron to Curse Academy and have been dictating this game from the start. They lost 1 turret all game long.
Working wonderfully for the guys, and now we go for the bottom lane tier 3 actually. Chris in the front, St. Vicious coming around flanks and only gets 1 person with that one. Turret goes down, and the team turns on to Vicious, who's got nowhere to go. Culled down by Mash, and now the second inhibitor laid open. Should be a very quick pickup there for Team Coast, who look great this game.
Yeah, they look fantastic. They just, all across the board, making fantastic moves. They're going to try and end the game now at 28 minutes. Impactful around the back, though.
He's trying, misses the slow, but now Mash turns back onto him. Big damage coming through, forcing the flash away from the Rat and Coast. Just looking for fantasy points.
There's no Challenger fantasy. Santorini's going for it. Oh,
wow.
Gets up with a kick.
Well, they're getting ready for it, man. I mean, Challenger season is to get into the LCS. They got to get used to the LCS strats, get points for their fans, get points for their friends and everything else. But now they go in for turret number 2, and Nexus is now open. 5 versus 4 bombs coming out, and it's losing all of its health bar. Team Coast gonna win 29 minutes in, a fast victory, only losing 1 turret, 4 kills, and nothing else all game.
That was all based off of objective play and their early movements in the early game. They got experience on the right people, grouped up for the second Dragon, was able to take the fight to Curse Academy and take their buffs. They were just 1 step ahead and 1 level ahead all game.
Oh yeah, and I think they had the whole picture, actually. I think the champions there, the game plan there, it all worked out in their favor. You've got guys who are very good mid-game, right? Sunfire, Cutlass, Shyvana is probably one of the most brutal top laners to team fight against at like 18 minutes. Right? Lucian, who's going to spike off of 1 item or 2 items. BT Lucian kills turrets fast. BT Triforce Lucian kills them even faster. Golden Glue won his mid lane and had Athene's death cap early on. Like, all this comes together to be like, can't mess with us.
Yeah. Yeah, they had fantastic play all throughout. Golden Glue, 4-0-4. So right now, his KDA versus ManCloud, just add 8 more on top of that. He's at 22 versus ManCloud in a head-to-head, who now has to add on just 3. So he's got a little bit better than just 1 KDA
but with the
now.
deaths, it's not even...
He doesn't have any deaths.
Well, I mean, from before, he had 1 death, right? In the previous
Yeah,
game?
he had 2.
Yeah,
he was 2, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
I believe.
So he's added...
He's very close.
He's added 1.5 to the ManCloud KDA against Golden Glue all time. I don't know why I really cared about that stat, but I was like, I want to know. I want to dive into that one. We did the math before. Yeah, I mean, down the line, like, what else can I say, right? Like, Team Coast definitely played the early game right. It really was, to me, getting golden XP on Santorin and Rux. The level lead was there the entire time, and you saw how much pressure that put on the map.
And there's a big thing here about Coast is normally a team in the Challenger Series will have a star player that just stands out from everybody else. And this one, it's really a team effort from what I was seeing. The kill participation on MASH, Santorin, is both 11 out of 12 currently. Golden Glue, he wasn't doing much for the early game, but he was farming. 277 CS at 29 minutes, 4-0-4, coming up big for himself. Sheep, high kill participation. Rux, he was putting pressure in the right places at the right time and just had a level advantage over his opponent in lane. This is pretty much just a super team right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of the strongest teams in North American Challenger, and I want to know what kind of legacy that's going to be, because the scariest team in North American Challenger last split was LMQ. They're tied for first in the LCS. So, you've got a pretty easy line to follow when you go for that one. I mean, you think about when Lemon Dog's busting the scene. They qualify kind of out of nowhere from the summer promotion tournament, and they go to Worlds, right? Like, out of the first play they qualify from. And we've got this obvious sort of trend of like, look, sometimes a team comes together, and it's the team. Sometimes that team just comes up and shows, right? Coast, Curse Academy, both completely new rosters coming together. Coast look really freaking smart, really good on all roles. Are they the new scary spring? I mean, it's one game in a BO3, but like,
one game, yeah.
They look real good, and that's what I'm going to say.
They look coordinated is a big thing, because I was watching their matches previously when they had Delicious Milk GG in the jungle, and it wasn't working out. They didn't have that cohesion. They didn't have those decisive calls, and I wonder if that's what Santorin's bringing to the table, because he's bringing low hesitation in his plays.
Yeah.
He's just going. We saw him land a bunch of Qs, and he's like, I'm going to go for the flash kick back into my team. Granted, most of the time he didn't get the kick back. Instead, he got a flash and he kicked him away. But it's still something you can do. A flash is down, extra pressure for your team.
Yeah, and we talk about the fact that a laner's flash means more than the jungler's flash, because you can just go back and pressure that guy. Jungler's oftentimes harder to mess with. So 1-0, great game so far to Coast. We'll see the second game in a second. Got to take a quick break. But in return, it's time for Game 2 between Curse Academy and Team Coast with a trip to the finals on the line. Don't go anywhere.